light over here for extra light.
I got a green light behind me today. Or do I want something extra? Um. Hello, Twitch. Hello, Twitch.
Are we live on the Twitch right this moment?
I think so. I'm so nervous. What do I do?
Hello, Twitch. Hello, 0 people on our Twitch channel. This
Hello,
is our
the
very
void.
First... Hello, Void. You're avoiding us. This is our very first Twitch live stream ever, and by we mean my brother Matt and myself, Evan.
Hello.
We are Bivins Brothers Creative, along with our good friend Allison. I almost said Adrian for some reason. Allison,
Adrian.
who is driving. She's driving in a car. None of that is really useful information for you, I guess. Anyways, here's what we do. Matt and I build websites, and we like to get on live streams, usually YouTube or whatever, and solve problems, issues, web related, something that we think that is kind of an interesting problem to try to solve, usually on a project we're working on, and then see if we can solve it, preferably in an expeditious amount of time. But It doesn't always happen that way. So we're not going to take too much time of your time today, but we're going to try to solve our the issue at hand, which is we are building an application, a web application. It's a few things. It's a note taking tool specifically for tabletop role playing gamers.
Yes.
And it's, as Matt likes to say, it's very opinionated. It's not Notion. It's not, it's not an open-ended thing that you can tweak and tweak and tweak to your thing. It's really, meant for people who are to stay focused in their game, but make note-taking much easier, because there's just not a lot of great D&D note-taking tools out there.
Really
so
isn't.
At this point in the process, we've been building it, designing it, prototyping it, rather, building the wireframe in Adobe XD. Then we moved over to our favorite web building platform, which is Webflow. We are not a Webflow partner, but we sure as hell would love to be. Hey, there's 2 people here.
2 people. Welcome, 2 people.
Welcome, 2 people. How do I look at the chat? Is this the chat? If you want to say hi, please say hi.
Hi.
I'll promise I'll get done with the preamble and we'll get down to business here in just a second. So Matt and I, we're building this interface, and I guess we could show this interface. It's part journal note-taking thing. It's a part tracker, so you can track your currency, you can track your magic items, weapons, armor, excuse me, stuff like that easily. Non-player characters, all kinds of good stuff in a way it's just easy. Because if you're like me and you're a horrible note taker, you want to take good notes, but you're just typing in a text, Apple text edit. It's just a jumbled nightmare. So we want to solve that problem for ourselves, and hopefully other people will like it too. But there's a large amount of development that will go into this, that some of it's outside of our current skill set. So we're going to do some proof of concepting with the aforementioned very popular note-taking application known as Notion. So the goal today is to take a look at our user interface that we built in Webflow, and it's not complete. It's under construction, of course, but take some of the core principles, identify what needs to be, more than just interface. It needs to have logic and data attached to it and all this stuff, and see what we can recreate in Notion as a. And I don't know anything about Notion, so Matt's gonna have to jump in and tell you all about that. But what do you call it? when you can share a template, a Notion template. That's the goal here, right? To kind of identify stuff, try to build in Notion and turn that into a template and see what happens. And hopefully along the way, identify, apologies for the frogginess, identify any potential holes in our current product design, what we're missing, stuff like that, UX stuff. So once again, we just lost somebody. Sorry, too boring. So once again, this is Matt. I'm Evan, and we're D&D nerds, and we are building an app for D&D nerds like us. Okay, thanks for letting me get to the preamble, brother.
Yeah.
Where do you want to start?
Let's just show a desktop. This is what I've got so far. I wanted to kind of give a little idea of what Evan has been designing on the, as he said, on the UX side, on the interface side. Of course, work in progress. This is the time where we need to kind of figure these things out and to learn about all these things. But I think Evan has already done this amazing job of trying to come up with a tool that would be good for players.
This is the time we blow your mind. We're about to
With
blow
players.
your mind.
With players. Blow your mind with players. So before we get into the Notion stuff, really the main thing to take a gander at is just this thing. So as Evan said, D&D tools, tabletop role-playing tools are really, really built for game masters mostly. And that makes sense, because game masters need a lot of stuff. But, what happened to the players? What happened to you, playa? For real. And so we thought, what we thought was, a journal. Everybody needs a shared journal. Everybody needs a way. Yes, there's probably a journal taker for the game. Usually one person takes on that role because they like being organized. But you kind of want, what if somebody misses a game and they want to be able to look back and somebody's taken these beautiful notes? Or what if you want to be a part of note-taking for the first time, to kind of know where you are in the campaign? So the journal is a big, big part of it. Evan's built this really nice concept of a journal with...
Are you showing something that I cannot see, brother?
Yes, unfortunately, what I need to do is... I've done this before. What I need to do is share my screen with you.
Yeah, sick.
And there we go. Ding, ding,
Showing
ding,
screen.
dong.
Oh, yeah. And the best thing about that is now I can give you some happy dragons.
Okay.
Wonderful. Okay, thank
Wonderful.
you. Sorry.
All right, yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so, there it is. So we've got this journal, and Evan has, you can divide things into folders. Currently, these are just the journal entries, so you can have different campaigns if you play multiple groups in a week. That's always nice to have. This, as Evan said, this is not Notion, but the goal is to kind of have some nice 2022 tooling, maybe some backlinks that would draw connections between the campaign, adding NPCs, adding weapons and things that you find, so that link, wiki style, right? Wiki style,
Wiki,
because
wow, Kool-Aid.
yeah, that's important kind of stuff. That is a big crux of it, but the other big crux of it, I think, is the tracking system, which Evan, as he said, I call it opinionated. When I say opinionated, I do not mean that in a negative way in any way. I think sometimes things that are opinionated are great, and they're great for certain people.
Like me.
Like Evan. And
Notion,
and,
things like Notion melt my brain.
Right.
It is too open-ended. I get completely lost in the ability to customize, which actually surprises me that you so much, brother. ADHD being a factor, greater factor in your life, that that you would like this, that you wouldn't want something more opinionated, but you love this. You love
I love this. And it's funny because Allison and I were talking the other day about the differences in our strains of ADHD, and mine has always been I like. She does not like to do things that she's not good at. She kind of wants to like Matrix style appear on the scene with all of the know-how, and I'm the opposite. I love not
you
knowing.
like to show up not being able to know dick about anything.
I like being the slobbering, gibbering. Gibbering. I'm gibbering. In a group.
I believe it's like a GIF. You're gibbering.
I'm giffering. Oh, I'm so sad. Evan, for some reason Slack's beautiful things are not coming through. Let me see if I can change that. I don't.
Oh man.
Try to write again.
It's a very.
Now it
very,
just went away. Okay.
Oh, son of a.
Yeah,
that's
sorry.
okay.
It's alright. Yeah, but that's true. I really don't. I really love having a blank slate. I don't know where that falls in ADHD land, but I don't like having to. Oh, that's what it is. I like to build what I need and only what I need, and I don't like other things. Okay. So, it's hard for me to ignore the other pieces that I don't use. Basically.
Right. It's those things are distractions, whether you can't necessarily partition your brain. Okay, I get it.
So yeah, that's the crux. But however, I know that there's so many people who do want beautiful UX and do not want to have to think about building something, but just kind of, oh, how nice, it's got this and it's got that and it's got all these different functions that I have been wanting as a player. And Evan, it's just lovely. It's gotten lovelier and lovelier, this whole concept of this thing. Tracking system, as I was saying, is another big part of the campaign companion, what we're calling the campaign companion, where currency is a big one. Shared pools of gear, but keeping in mind that this is early basic stages, and what we're trying to do in this series, hopefully, is by using something like Notion and building up the functionality first, are the things that we learn that, ooh, well, gosh, this could also be per player. Did you go through the difference D&D Beyond and this, like, did you go through where there might be some overlapping with D&D Beyond and an app like this yet?
You mean as I've been building it?
Well, just today. I didn't know whether I missed you. Yeah.
No. So we can back up a little bit. So if you play D&D, you use D&D Beyond, then you're probably familiar with the character sheets. For me, a lot of pain points with D&D Beyond. And if you want to bring that up, brother, we can take a look at if that's even legal.
Yeah.
Take a look at D&D Beyond.
Yeah.
Bring up one of your characters. The note-taking is like total afterthought. I mean, I think there's a place in your character sheet where you can take a note, but it's kind of, there's no way to organize that particularly. There's no markdown. There's no, headings and et cetera, et cetera. Certainly no link backs or anything like that. I guess notes. That's where you can go and take notes, right? Like, that's it's just not what people are using. So That's a huge pain point for D&D Beyond. It's just not really there, and this doesn't really exist in a robust way in any other VTT character sheets out there. From what I've seen in Roll20, in Foundry, Shard, like it's just all of this stuff. It's not the meat and potatoes. So the other pain point for me was inventory, especially consumables. I just, this is built a little bit better. Ooh, now we can just see how much money you got.
Oh, no!
You can adjust this stuff pretty easily.
Yeah.
For your own personal goals. What it doesn't do is help you track the party's
Right.
gold or currency. And you can't see me drawing on this, can you?
I know. Well,
You
someday we'll
can,
fix that.
but nobody else
I can see it. Evan, Evan's writing secret messages to me. You'll never know.
I know.
Oh,
You'll never
Sorry.
see my happy dragons
Yeah.
that I like to draw. So the point is, number one, let's be honest. There's usually only one member of your party who takes good notes. Or at the very least, whatever your party is, there's usually someone who's nominated the treasurer, someone who's kind of keeping track of the party's currency, not just their own. So that was another kind of pain point we identified, was tracking that, but also giving you an opportunity to split that quickly and easily, instead of having to, do a bunch of math. Just have a little tool here where you can type in or just distribute the full amounts, do a custom split by percentages, whatever, even split,
Right.
all that jazz.
Maths.
Of course, doing all the math. Of course, none of this math exists yet. None of this. We'll be figuring this out later.
Right.
But this is one of the features that we thought would be useful. What was the? Trying to get back to your original question, which was.
Which was just
the similarities and the overlap. So
Right.
that's the biggest overlap, is you can track your personal currency in D&D Beyond. You can certainly track your weapons and your armor, but you typically only, again, it's built for your own personal use. It's not, what we've discovered is a lot of people's campaigns, they'll have more than just what's being used personally. In fact, they'll keep spreadsheets of weapons and magic items and all the junk that they accrue over time that's maybe not being used by anyone, but could be if they wanted to dip back into their bag of holding or whatever. So this is, in a way, this is a tool that is meant to be representative for the entire party, but for the whole party to also be able to collaborate on it. Open this menu right here, brother. Yeah. So the idea. So this, everything that you're looking at right now is the interface for being inside one campaign. Later on, we'll get to a menu where you can pick through and create new campaigns and all that stuff. But when you're inside your campaign, you want to be able to manage the players that you're, who are in your party. So if you have an empty slot, you can click on that. And email somebody new, if someone's joining. And if you want someone to be able to co-edit, then you could toggle that on, and then save your changes. And that means player 1 and player 2, and their names would show up here, of course, would then be able to be in the journal with you. And we'll have to figure out to what extent they're able to manage this versus the tracker, but they're going to be able to contribute to this, which will be handy, because then it won't just be one person trying to do all the lifting.
Right.
So that's the both the similarities and the differences. This is really meant for the campaign, for the party.
Yes, all of that, and I think what was interesting, what had interested us was, if we build out the functionality, you've already got this major head start on UX and UI and concept as far as that goes. But if we start building out the functionality, do we find ways to either minimize the intersection or maximize the intersection in good ways, or something, whatever? And that's a part of it too.
Yeah, our dream, of course, would be to, as it becomes available, link this stuff up to the D&D Beyond API.
Yeah.
So let's, you've got your calculator, and you say distribute, tell me what the even split for our party is, and then it shows you that, and then you can distribute that, and it goes straight to your player's character sheet in D&D Beyond. I mean, how cool would that be? Currently, that doesn't exist functionally in the D&D Beyond. "Whoa, look at this party happening around
I
you."
know. Party in the
Wow.
USA.
Party in the avatar. Currently that doesn't exist, but as soon as it does, that's going to be super awesome.
And by it doesn't exist, there are people. I would just wanted to point out there are really great developers out there that are building connections, integrations. There is an API available for D&D Beyond. I've heard that it's not necessarily the easiest to work with, but I mean, this site D&D Beyond.
No shade now.
No, I don't think that's it's. I'm not knocking D&D Beyond. It's just so much information. This website is just, it's unstoppable. The developers of D&D Beyond have done such an incredible job. I feel like Wizards of the Coast could have just half-assed something, and they really have not half-assed a thing.
I don't think this was built by Wizards, brother. I think this is built by fandom.
I'm sorry, fandom. Give credit where credit is due. But it is the official. It is the official it is the, you buy all of the books, you buy all the adventures, the official, anything is going to come into here. So, yay, fandom. I guess my point was Wizard of the Coast didn't half-ass the experience, like found the right people to work on things and to make things happen. And I love seeing it grow. It grows all the time. It's a wonderful thing. But it, of course, makes, devs outside that world have to kind of scramble to keep up with things. Just like any site ever with an API that is Google, anything, really, truly anything. They have their own prerogative, and so allowing these integrations outside of what they're already spending a ton of time doing is not necessarily their first priority. That being said, it can be done. I didn't want to say that it's impossible, but it is tricky. So, we think that Campaign Companion can exist completely separately and be a very personal party thing using side-by-side D&D Beyond at the beginning at least, and then hopefully maybe someday we can highlight Gaffer McDougart and we click a couple of magic buttons and it maybe he will show up in your description or notes. You never know. So that's kind of the background here of this thing that we've been working on, and as you can see, Evan's just done all this cool stuff, and
click on that thing.
Okay. Ooh, see, you can kind of move things to different people and
sign that to somebody.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If you click on that, it'll do something.
Oh, I can. Oh my!
But only this one. So this is a good this is a good example of the difference between Webflow. This is there's no JavaScript, there's no custom code going on here. It's all interactions and Webflow native interactions and CSS. And what you're just changing this from a menu of stuff, but every single one of these has the same thing. And depending on the way that it's built, there's no way to do it so that there's no if-then statements, which is of course what you would need with the real database. So this is a representation, but that's what you gotta know where you're going before you gotta know where
you're going. And so that's why we thought we had the idea. We thought that was interesting to bring something like Notion in, because that's not Notion, everybody. Because as Evan said, I use these tools, the Notions, the Obsidians, the Airtables. I use them with clients. I use them personally. I use them for writing. I use them for databasing, if that's a word. Should be. And I have been referencing these systems to Evan a lot in the process that he's been doing this. And then this last week we were like, well, maybe that will help. Maybe that will open some ideas up. Maybe that'll bring us to, some new understandings. And so, we're trying to learn and live live at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So this is Notion.
Learn, love, well.
Live, learn, love. This is, I think of all of them, Notion is probably the one that most people will have heard of. They are, multi-million, maybe billion-dollar company at this point, and they are sort of seen as, there are other versions. Other options. There's Coda, like I said, there's Obsidian, but Notion has really gained a lot of traction, and they just had their sort of their sort of year exciting keynote speech where they're going to double down on team systems and integrations and try to kind of make things a little easier for onboarding people, which is interesting, I think. But basically, because what they're saying is you're not alone, Evan, that you don't want to come in and see a blank sheet of paper. So they're trying to build tools and build communities for the me's that do want to design thing and then bring you in and say, this is the way this works. So the concept behind this Notion is basically it's a document, it's a database, all in one, right? It's depending on what line you're on, you can call up blocks of text, you can call up a database, you can start and it can be inception-y, and it can be a wiki, and it can have backlinks. So it is overwhelming. It really is. It is completely overwhelming. I have taken, it's been a little while since I've taken a look at Notion. I haven't needed to fairly recently. So opening it up, I'm like, okay, wow. So these things have already changed. But you've got a sidebar here, and you got this big blank piece of paper here. So what I just thought we would do, we don't have to make this a super long video this time, but let's just start this and see, put them side by side and see what we can bring in and just see how it would maybe work.
Right. So based on the fact that I know nothing about Notion and really what it can do, my guess is that all of this stuff is not possible in Notion. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Well.
Oh, sorry. You guys can't see what I'm drawing. I'm drawing on the sidebar here, what we call the tracker, where you're tracking.
Yes.
Armor,
sorry.
currency, etc.
Yes, this stuff. This tracking stuff. Right.
Right. So my assumption was that you were going to start with the journal.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be the closest analog to where Notion could really, or am I incorrect in that assumption that we can attempt not the user interface, but I mean at least the tracking of the stuff.
You can definitely do that.
Okay.
Some of the more advanced math we're going to kind of have fun stumbling into to see what we can do, but because of the database power that Notion has and the ability to build formulas that do a ton of math and stuff, we may get really close. But definitely all of these little things, whether we separate weapons from this and this and this and this, or we create categories that, you've done this thing where if you create new, you can create a different thing. So this is more of the stuff that I'm excited to kind of see, okay, well, this is the way I've been thinking about it, and this is the way you've been thinking about it. So how can we kind of have the visual and the function side by side, and how will they change each other or adjust? But yeah, let's start with the journal. That makes sense. With Notion, as you can see, you could go, and I think this is a problem with a lot of these apps, these PKM, what are they called? I don't even really know. I don't even know what the name of them all are. But I think that some of the frustrating thing about it is there's so many ways to do the one thing. So many different ways to think about it. That's just, it does get exhausting. But one super easy thing that you can do is you can just create this thing called, journal. And then you could have pages and pages and pages. So you could have you just kind of just start typing something, or you can create a new page. So this page then becomes, and so this is session 0. So it starts to immediately kind of look like your the sidebar here with just the individual ones, and you could have sort of a master page with everything here. It could, be named better. It could be journal entries as you have done. And so then it's just page, page, page. That is like the, page. That is the sort of easiest way to do things, right? Right. Type. And then you can then interconnect these things by, how do you do that actually? At session, yeah. And so you could say, you could create an automated template so that it'll put them in some sort of chronological order. And so you could say back session 0, forward to this, and so you could have like a little breadcrumb thing. So that is one option. It's a little bit more work, I think. So what I would like to look into instead is, let's see, what do they call it now? So you can create, I think we'll be creating a lot of template buttons, right? Like this button will create a new journal entry that, boom, opens up. So this is, what should this button be called? And we're going to say new journal entry, maybe. And then it'll allow you to kind of have anything here that you want. I think you can just do the date today. So there's that. And you could have a header here. Heading 1. Do you see how this is going? And you can, then you have like a block of information there. And when you close this, let's see if this does what I want it to do. Yeah. So then it creates automatically just right there a new page, like a new journal entry from that. And you can keep doing that. It'll go down the file and do that. So knowing that there's a few different options to do this, what would you like to see? Because you don't necessarily have, or do you have a master page of the entries? You're letting this sidebar do that work, right?
Right. Yeah. And this is one of the confusing things about Notion for me is that when I come from the school of don't make me think UX, and it feels like Notion is very much like get on board with us, dummy. And I never purported to be smart. So for me, this is very challenging. So for example, when I look at this Notion already, I glance at the screen and I understand some of the hierarchy of the information. I get sidebars. I see, arrows and indentions. So I get that this is above that this is, inside that. But then when I look at this page, and I know you guys can't see me drawing, I'm drawing around the journal entries page. I see the title. It's an H1. I get that's the title. For me, that reads as the title of a page. But then underneath that, I see 2 documents. And this is where and then under that, you've added today, and there's a heading, there's H1s that you could type into. So I see multiple journal entries on one page, and all of a sudden it becomes muddy. It becomes unclear as to what exactly is what. So part of my desire for a more opinionated version of this, to move over to the companion, is yes, you're managing your journal entries in this sidebar. That is, you click on any of these, and the corresponding entry shows up on your page. And you can edit this text, H1s, H2s, insert images, whatever it is that you can do in there. And that is all, but this is, and again, I'm drawing, you can't see it, I'm drawing around the session 0 in Campaign Companion. This is a singular journal entry.
Right.
And then you manage it over here in the sidebar. Does that make sense?
It does. Let me. I think I have something to help you with the idea of Notion. What you're looking at right now, the thing that I just kind of just blah 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 did this second. What you're looking at now is as if I started a blank slate on a web page, as you would in Webflow. This is my blank slate right here. So it's not even about UX. I'm the only one right now that needs to know the UX. Well, I mean, if you wanted to know it, of course you could. But like, what the goal with this is to create the proper UX using Notion, so that it does, mirror this, match this, complement this, whatever, right? Like, what is the best way to push the journal entries forward? All of this on this page, it's not about, like, I know it looks totally confusing right now because my point was, one of the most daunting things about Notion is that it is just a blank slate. It doesn't have UX in a lot of ways. So what ends up happening is, just like the people who are playing D&D and they are the ones who are building writing the journal, keeping notes, there's the people like me that would be building the world in Notion for you to go in and then be able to go boom, 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 whatever you need to do. So that's really what we're thinking about here is, what do we need to do to make the UX in this app, work so effortlessly as, this, Campaign Companion would. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I've assumed that, just by the nature of how Notion is designed, that obviously it's going to be different. So, I'm not, in case you think I'm kind of pushing back on anything, I'm not.
No. I know you're not.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I say just jump. I don't know how long you want to go, but just jump in and start showing us how you would start to structure. Where do you start? Do you start with journal entry? Do you start with journal entry organization? Where would you start here?
Yeah, I think right off the bat, I would probably turn journal entries into a table, a database, for a few reasons. Number one, because in doing so, if I just, session 0, and then I do, what's the other one? Journey to Haven, and I do, fighting dire wolves. There's so many different things in this table that I could add. Sure, you could add tags. It's just what they add. I don't want that. But you can add something that would automatically date. So I can add a formula that says, here's the date automatically. The date and the time. In fact, I don't remember that based on, but I can do it in Airtable. I can't remember how to do it. I'll do a little, here we go. How about created time? Boom.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Sick.
it. Or newish, or I didn't know about it. So you could have something like that. You could immediately add files of media or an image. So I'm going to call it image just for fun, right? All right, these things. And then what else we'd have? We could call this. This could be just.
Text, right?
Text, text.
Anything.
Yeah. And that's text. Now, right here, it's like, you're not going to want to type into this. But what you can also do, and I actually have to remember how to do it, but this can be the button that takes you to the page that makes you comfortable with all the writing tools that you need, your Markdown, your so on and so forth. And the page itself the text itself as a page is then linked here, which is nice. But another thing I think that could be neat is, what do they call it now? Properties.
What are they calling now?
What are they calling now, girl?
Come funky.
Oh, here it is. Add a view. If I wanted to show this in a timeline view, I could then do that, right? If we had actually, it's all on the same date. But you can have different views. Like one that would be really nice to have probably is the gallery. And so if we wanted to put text here, if we had images here, and here's the nice thing about this. If we build a dashboard for this, so instead of like journal entries is great, it's a database. Put that aside. We're also going to create a database for collecting funds, group funds, but that'll do a lot of the math for us. We'll create one that will have new items, and we'll have one probably special for NPCs because there's probably a little bit more information there. And then we have a dashboard. We can pull in any of this information in any format that we want to see it on this dashboard. You can hide things and show things. You can show them as a gallery or as a regular table. You can pull out specific informations just by the day. You can do all manner of filtering and grouping. So that's what I kind of... Yeah, I know. But look, that's what we're asking for here. I mean, honestly, yes, it's a it looks like a list, but that list is just a database. That's all this is. There's a simplified view. That's what this would have to be in web design anyway. So all we're doing is trying to think in that world. Here are our databases. Here's how we get the information in. Here's where we get to be creative. Here's where we have a big swath, big open sheet of paper to type our journal entries. And your teammates can do the same thing. Here's where we do that. And then a dashboard, which will say, here was the last journal entry that you took. And it has, this is how much you've got in your kitty right now, and so on and so forth. All of these things we can do in Notion. And I think that it's going to help both of us to start thinking in databases. A CMS is just a database. A list is usually just a database. And I think it's just so helpful to kind of get to that level of thinking, So, yeah, we don't need to. We've talked about an hour today, kind of gone through a whole bit of information. So maybe we could just,
Where I get tripped up with Notion is I think very visually, obviously. I'm a designer, and Notion is, because you can, all the options to look at it a different view or different, all of this different stuff for me becomes visually just hard to parse out.
Yeah.
So it's difficult. I totally get, yes, this is a database, and
right.
and exactly what we need, exactly what we're doing. But visually, I just get so challenged.
Sure. No, I hear you.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah. I want that to be the goal. It's not like I'm trying to sell you on Notion in any way, but I do feel like it's a great tool to kind of think about some of the stuff that we're going to need to think about anyway. And I want to get to that point where in Notion, you know where to go, and it is visual for you, and it does have the right, it has this icon everywhere.
Yeah, party
in the USA. Let's remove that. That's embarrassing. But it has the right. So every single one of these things can have icons. It can show you where to go. It will never be something that you can design. It will never be. But there's a lot. Let's see what we can do to morph it, to give it that kind of visual clue. Plenty of breadcrumbs, plenty of links, full on menus. Let's really try to think in that way, so that it gives you the UX that you want as well. And I think that's a challenge, but I think that's going to be a fun one. So what if we say hooray for today, and leave off with the idea that Notion has started. We've kind of introduced Campaign Companion. We know that we have to create some databases, and we need to create them with all kinds of things in mind. The shareability, we've already decided there probably will be a dashboard, which will be much like, maybe not dashboard here, but at the very least a menu, right? Probably a way to switch
a dashboard where you see all your various campaigns and can create a campaign. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I feel like an earlier iteration of this site did have, more of a welcome screen intro. Where do you need to go immediately? Maybe not. But
no, in the XD project, there's definitely we've accounted for. This is simply the one campaign interface. All of the preamble to this, the dashboard, your campaign management page, and onboarding and all marketing page, all that stuff, yet to come.
Yeah. Yes. Of course. That's what it is. So all we've done right now is we have what did I call it? Journal entries. All we've done right now is we've created our little menu. That's all we've done right now. And then we'll kind of we'll start off with journal entries, and we'll get into where you write things, how you write things, clicking on, give you little buttons so that it says, today's the day, and it templatizes that, right? Like where the H1's going to be, where the H2, where to start writing, and then the dashboard, the database is going to kind of hold all of these things for you.
Now, hang on though. So, and I know you're actually trying to stop this, but I can't stop with unanswered questions. So you're calling this dashboard, and I know you're just slapping this together super quick.
Yeah.
But if this were the dashboard in the sense of managing your campaigns, so this would be like our campaign is called Campaign of Doom because that sounds cool. Yeah. Flip back to Notion.
Sorry.
Yeah. So you wouldn't see this stuff. You'd see dashboard and Campaign of Doom, Campaign of Coolness, Campaign of the Similitude, whatever.
Right.
Like all your campaigns, and then some kind of buttons or whatever to add new campaigns and delete campaigns.
Yeah.
And then you'd click into one of those, and then instead of dashboard, you'd see Campaign of Doom, journal, and then your journal entries, and that would be your home page, quote unquote, for that particular campaign. Is that
exactly
how?
So then
that's how Notion looks.
It could definitely look like that, and that's helpful to think about and to know, right? So, what I usually do when I'm doing Notion is I just start off with text. I don't even have this whatever this is. But, I start off with
Cool
text.
shit.
Cool stuff. And I just kind of make notes of what I want it to eventually be. So there you go. You're already kind of writing it for me. There's the individual campaign list, right? So what else would be on a dashboard when you first get there, right? Campaign list.
Really,
you just said it, didn't you?
From what I've narrowed it down to an XD, originally it had some like manage your players buttons. Let me open up my XD file here and see what actually I've included. But I don't know that you need to manage players on that particular page. I think because your players, say you're someone you're managing multiple different campaigns, those are very possibly with entirely different people. So you wouldn't need to manage those people on that level. You would really do that internally inside the individual campaign. So I think the way that I have it so far, and this could be completely flawed, the only thing that the dashboard does, it's not really a dashboard in the truer sense of what a dashboard is, where you get to look at all kinds of different metrics and interact with that in some capacity. What it really is just a campaign management page,
right?
Where again, it's pretty simple. You create a new campaign, delete campaigns.
Yeah, I was just about to say, yeah. So we want to see that, right? Great. So we've got a welcome screen, and so. Yes, exactly. The cool thing about that Notion will allow us to do is inceptionize this. Each campaign is its own template, and it has its own powers. And then you can then you can put that into its own database, which means you can show 1 to 100 campaigns. And they each have their, a structure that we will build with, but they can be kept completely separate at the same time, or they can be joined. But the idea, what we're going to do is we're going to create that campaign template package first, right? But you're right. The welcome screen or whatever it ends up being is the first thing that you see when you log into Campaign Companion. So that is important to see the list of campaigns. So that's, we can work on that for next time and work on that and then keep going. Database inside the database inside the database inside the
inside the database inside the database.
Right? Caw. Well, good job, brother. This is fun. I think this is really going to be fun.
Yeah, I'm guessing. Let's see. Do we still have one person hanging on? It was probably Allison. There's one person watching us. If it's not Allison, then nobody's guest chatting us. But whoever the other person who was here a little while ago, thank you for tuning in for a second. If you like technology, if you like D&D, come check us out, bivinsbrothers.com. We build websites. If you have any website needs, we'd love to hear from you. If you're into D&D, you can find us on Twitter. You can find us on the face page. That's Matt. I'm Evan. Please come and tell us your thoughts about your note-taking foibles, your pains, your victories, the things that you
joys,
like, the things that you hate, your struggles.
Your hair. Are you having a good hair day?
We love to look at hair. We love to touch hair.
Do.
If you want us to touch your hair, we'll pay. We pay good money to touch hair.
Oh god, yeah. It's so true. It's so true though.
So yeah, please come find us. And I don't know if we have the ability once we put this on we can have a link here that says like this, subscribe to this, or find us on the socials, whatever. But Bivins Brothers Creative tune back in, and we will continue this journey of building this application with you guys. And
until next time,
I don't know. Roll for initiative.
Roll for initiative as we leave. Choo-choo!
Goodbye.